Hi everyone, my name's Lizzie, welcome back to my channel, and I've done some sewing! I've got some sewing to tell you about. Anyone who's been watching my channel recently might have picked up on the fact that I've been trying to finish my dissertation, which is the last step of completing my masters, which I've been doing whilst having a full-time job. So it's been busy, but it's done, it's submitted, and I managed to get it done slightly early, which has meant that I've left myself the whole bank holiday weekend to do sewing, and I'm so happy about it. So the first thing that I've managed to sew up is the Jennifer Lauren Hunter tank, and I'm wearing it now, but I'll put a photo on the screen here of the actual pattern so you can see it. The pattern has two views, so they're very similar. One just has a wider neckline, so I mean, I'll put some nice footage in of me, hopefully, but I'll do you a nice little twirl as well. So essentially, the pattern is a crop top, and it's got a nice rounded neck, no sleeves, a couple of bust darts, and then it comes down to these two ties that you tie in the front. So it's a really cute little cropped length, and I really like it. So this is view 1. So this has got sort of the standard neckline, but view 2 has a slightly wider neckline, which I think would also be lovely. So I'd definitely probably try view 2 with the wider neckline if I make it again. And another design feature it has is this lovely sort of stripe detail down the middle, which looks, so as you can see, you've got sort of the centre front seam there, but then 2 rows of stitches either side, and I just think it looks even better in this particular fabric because, as you can see, it's stripy. So you cut this pattern out on the bias. So before I realised that, I was imagining that these stripes would be running horizontally, but because you cut it on the bias, which means you cut, like, instead of folding the fabric selvage to selvage, when you cut it out you fold it diagonally, all my stripes are diagonal and they all meet in the middle nicely, which I think is really nice and kind of more interesting than just ordinary horizontal stripes. So that was a very welcome outcome that I wasn't expecting. This fabric is some cotton shirting that I had left over from eBay. I'll link it in the description if it's still around. I bought it ages ago, so I'm not sure if it will be. This pattern is basically super simple because it doesn't have any lining, doesn't have any facings. Yeah, it would be a really good one for a beginner, or if you just want a really quick project. It certainly didn't challenge me too much, which was really nice, especially as I'm had a bit of a break from sewing and just getting back into it. In terms of sort of adjustments and things, I cut out a size 8 because when I compared my measurements to the size 6, it suggested that the size 6 would be too small. So I cut the size 8, but there was so much extra fabric at the front. It was like really puffy and bulky, like just loads of extra fabric in the front here. So I actually, halfway through sewing it, I did take it in at the front and I got rid of 4 centimetres worth of fabric, which is a lot, right? But I did make a bit of an error in doing that because, as you can see, it is actually a little tight across my chest here. And that's because I took it in down the front before I'd finished the armholes, and in finishing the armholes it pulled it all in ever so slightly. So next time I think I'll try the size 6, and note to self, don't mess with your centre front until you've done your armholes, because I didn't really realise that finishing the armholes would affect the fit. So yeah, that was a learning point for me there. I also I had a couple of goes at the darts because I ended up with really pointy looking boobs the first time I sewed the darts, so I went in again with those and rounded them off a little bit. I also added a little bit of length to the waist. I have a really ridiculously long body, so I measured quite carefully before I cut out to kind of work out whether I needed to add a little bit to make sure that the crop top sat on my waist, because I really wanted it to be on my waist rather than above it. I don't mind my stomach. It's not so much about a confidence thing, but more just a modesty, my style point of view. I prefer not to be flashing the flesh, so I wanted to make sure it was the right length to just sit on high-waisted things. And I think I got the length spot on actually, because as you can see, this skirt, I really like this little A-line skirt. It's a shop bought one, it's not homemade, but I am planning on trying to copycat it. But yeah, the skirt just covers up my belly button, and then the top just sits right on there, so you can't really see any skin until I start to move around, and even then it's only a little tiny flash, so yeah, got the length right. I just added a couple of centimetres. As you will know if you watched my last video where I showed you my haul of sewing patterns that I bought recently, I'll link it in one of the corners now just in case you haven't seen it. But this is my first ever PDF pattern that I've ever sewn with, which I was a little bit sceptical about. I loved the fact that I could just download it and print it immediately, but oh my gosh guys, the cutting and sticking. It's not even a very complex pattern, there's only a few pieces, it's not like there were pieces and pieces and pieces, but the sticking the pattern together piece by piece and trying to do that as accurately as possible, plus then tracing it off, oh, it just took forever. So I think I've got a few more PDF patterns that I've bought now, so I will be doing that process again. But I think in general, if there's ever a choice to buy the actual pattern, the paper pattern, I'll do that, because God, who's got time for all this cutting and tracing and stuff? Not me, ideally. So yeah, overall I'm really pleased with this pattern. I would definitely like to try it again, maybe in actually a slightly more drapey fabric, because I don't know, the pattern suggests using fabrics that have a little bit of structure. I think it does anyway. I think that's what it says. Yeah, it says to suggest for woven fabrics. Oh no, it does say to use fabrics with good drape. Okay, that's my mistake. I used cotton shirting, which doesn't have very much drape. But yeah, I would definitely use slightly drapier fabric in the future, because when I like pull it all nice and tight and have it sitting perfectly, it's great. But then as soon as you like move around a little bit, it can kind of stick out a little bit there, which is fine. It's not a big deal, but I feel like if the fabric had a bit more drape, it would just sit a bit more nicely. But I'm still really pleased with how this one looks, so will definitely be wearing it on my holiday. I'm going on holiday a week tomorrow, so I'll definitely wear this while I'm gone. So yeah, overall I think this pattern is great, really good, really simple, really quick make. I definitely recommend it for anyone who is in the market for, yeah, a crop top, which I imagine is actually probably not very many of you right now, because it's pretty much autumn soon. So, but you know, a good pattern to put on your list of patterns to potentially purchase in the future. Thank you ever so much for watching. I really hope you've enjoyed this video. Do subscribe if you'd like to see more of my videos, and give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time. Bye!